I want to go over a quick overview of what we're going to be dealing with going into this evening's close in about an hour and 26 minutes. XRP is literally on the borderline here of confirming at least another move up. It's just we've been kind of indecisive right around, and if you go in real time, pretty indecisive right around that $2.44 mark, which I find pretty interesting here. Because now you can see a death cross has happened in the 30-minute time frame and a mild rejection here. So if this continues up, that $2.42 or 44 cent in real time, we want to get outside of that area after this breakout that we've had so that we can finish pushing out and into this technical target zone. And we've still got a long ways to go. It's just we don't want to break it down. How do I send you a XRP? I want to send XRP to you. Oh, I can I'll pin it in there if you really want to. But we have a lot of stuff to talk about here this evening. Not only the price, but like there was something like 400 million XRP that's been moved around here on February 10th. I know it's the 11th today, but that's just happened in the not so distant past. We've got, the bozos who continue to talk at the Fed and then hinting that they may not lower rates the market wasn't very happy about that. As you guys could see, an immediate reversal happened. Just hinting at the fact that they're not going to cut rates as they were, or at least as strong or as aggressively. It leads to not so good mojo. So definitely don't want that. But Elizabeth Warren, as you see, came out talking about how we need to lower rates immediately and yada, yada, yada. She's got her own problems going on. Because now they're snooping around asking questions how, somebody on a $150,000 a year salary has, several $1 million in the bank. So, she's got her own issues. But I couldn't disagree more about the fact that they say we have to cut rates. Yes, on the onset, it looks great, right? We cut rates, it looks fantastic, things are cheaper, yada, 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 so on and so forth in that regard. The problem with that is if you're somebody who works for your money and you're looking to save money and you're trying to make money off of the money you've already made, if they lower interest rates, that directly affects us. Like, that's the untold truth. Sure, you might get less interest on your house, which isn't even going to happen. As we've seen when they cut rates the last time, rates started going up on credit cards and on house payments and on loans and things like that. But it's an interesting thing. So here, donate XRP wallet. So here's the wallet address. I'm surprised anybody even asked about this or even recommended this. Like, kudos. I mean, I appreciate it, but you definitely don't have to do this, my friend. So I mean, if you really want to do it, so be it. And then destination. Remember, you have to have a destination tag with XRP. So obviously, destination tag. And I mean, you're going to have to pull this off of here because there's no way for me to separate it. But I'll pin this. If you want to donate XRP, that is my XRP wallet if you would like. So all the power to you. I appreciate that. But like, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I see like people talking about the tariffs. I mean, there's so much stuff to talk about. You can't tariff. Somebody said you can't tariff crypto. But with XRP, the main point here is with XRP, before we go into the intro, we need to get above $2.44. But remember, this pattern consolidation, we don't have to break out until Friday. So we don't have to break out till Friday. I almost think it makes sense because we could ride what I still think would be this neckline if this does pull up for like an inverse head and shoulders. Because I still think that this could be a right shoulder here. As long as this pulls up, it'll look a lot better once it happens. But even if it's not like an inverse head and shoulders, I still think that this is a bullish reversal pattern that it's trying to show us here. And then in the overall grand scale, yes, we broke out of a small term descending wedge. As you can see here. But overall, we're still in this broadening wedge. We're in a broadening wedge. I don't think there's any reason to even debate that. But now since we bounced off the broadening wedge support and confirmed the pattern down here, now it's time to, although that is off a little bit, I don't know. Now it's time for this to make some noise, I feel like. So now it would be back to the top side, and we'll see from there. But the short-term target out of this descending wedge is telling us $3.27 is where we're trying to go. It's just we've got to get over and hold $2.44. Right now, if you line it up, it's about 244.2. Now, if we line it up for the next daily candle, or the next 3 hourly candle, but put it up, let's just say we get out by Wednesday, then you'd have to be over $2.43.1 if you put it out into tomorrow. So that's how it's going to end up going. But remember, this can go until Friday, and a lot of times these take all the way until, hey, we started another consolidation here. So now it's going to have to play through it as long as it holds. But that's just, we're speculating, because it could even be something like, who knows? Who knows? But we're speculating because that's how the pattern started here. Support, support, support. So you kind of just play it through. So we'll see. But XRP does have some promise here to come up to $3.27. Now, when would I start worrying? Like if you're in the group, if you're in the audience and you're like, well, Tom, when would I worry? Well, you worry if first we fall below this downtrending support line that I drew in here. And in current times, I would say we come below $2.35 right now. It's not so healthy. I mean, it's not awful, but you want to stay above this area now. We really want to start breaking out of here and push to this next area up. And the technical play out of this wedge, as long as it's not a fake out here, is actually up to $3.27. It's quite surprising, but it's true. And I could see a volatile swing if it's going to happen to where it does come up and it'll tap that and then make some kind of arm there. That's why I keep saying I feel like we're forming some kind of neckline here or something. And as long as we stay on top of that, we'll be fine. But we still got a lot of work to do. We're kind of in that zone where you can make it or break it here for the short term. But like when I started out here, I said, well, in the 30-minute, we'll see. It's got a death cross in the 30-minute, yada, 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 so on and so forth. So we'll see if we have enough, as one could say, testicular fortitude to break out of this area and start pushing where we need to go. No liquidity in the markets. Biggest crash since 1929 coming. I don't disagree with the massive crash coming. I don't disagree with that, but there's one liquidity pull left before that can happen. And I think that should come with a wave 5 with most of these cryptos, because you can't jump through the hoop before the hoop's in front of you. So I don't disagree with you. I absolutely don't disagree with you. Now, could it come sooner? It could. It could, and then all of a sudden the Elliott wave they use against us, and it doesn't go 5 waves like it would traditionally do in this kind of a setting. But that's to be determined if that would play out. But we can see a lot of things right now are below there, or at least close to their lows from before, even from the bear market lows. I think what's going to happen is we're going to have a substantial wave 5 where Bitcoin does get to 122K, because that's the technical target. Where XRP gets down or gets up to about $5.49, which are the technical targets from when its target first broke out of that long descending wedge that was almost 7 years. I think it's going to have a big play out like that, and then we're going to have a blowout sale. When I mean this, but you guys are going to have to pay attention to me when I say, listen, guys, it wasn't an easy decision. It's not the decision I wanted to make, but much like in 2021 when we had to get rid of our stuff, unfortunately, we're meeting that moment again, and because of all the liquidity issues, I still think 2028 is when the big calamity event happens, where all of a sudden utility just goes crazy. I do think we're going to have a moment here, but I think by May or June of this year, we're going to have some kind of substantial thing happen. Remember, usually when we get in and we have big cycles, usually by the summertime, it's basically like all hands on deck. Like we just hit an iceberg, so to say, and it's time to bail because there's nowhere to go but down now. Like that's That's what ends up happening when you get past the springtime and the summer with crypto after bull markets. If 540 is going to be the top, people are going to be so happy or so upset. Yeah, but I wouldn't. Oh, I wouldn't. I'm just saying, if on this cycle, just hear me out. On the last cycle, I had 47-cent average and I got out at $1.66. And then it dropped down where we predicted and things like that. The best we could have done was $1.98 in that cycle. Then, if you're going to tell me in this cycle I could go from 34 cents and be in until $5.40, I would say, holy shit, where do I sign up? Because I didn't think this part of the cycle, and it may not. See, I may not. I might still ultimately, unfortunately, be right in the fact that I didn't think it was going to happen until 28 when we would hit that $5 or $6 mark. Actually, I said $10. But the point is breaking that all-time high level. Oh, no, I'm not saying $5. Here's the $5.49 isn't the all-time albeit number. But that's where this cycle is pointing to. Now, if you break out above there, there is one more level at $6 and like 70 something cents, $6.72, I think, something like that. That is actually where we could top out. $6.79. I was right the first time. That's actually, if you top it out to the maximum that I can extend this out based on what's already formed and what's being formed, that's how high I could get it up to, $6.79. Now, if you tell somebody you could have turned on 10,000 tokens, $3,400 into 67,000 or 54,000, I think that's where, I start to tell people don't over exaggerate what you can make. Because the only reason you'd be upset about turning 3,500 into 54,000 is because some tool on YouTube told you in this cycle you're going to turn it into 5 million. That's where we get in trouble. Remember, you can take one cycle and then you can turn the next cycle into 6 figures and then it's all over. Like, it's over. Once you get into 6 figures and you can make that next move, and that's what we're working on now, it's different. We had to work through 4 digits and 5 digits to get to 6 digits, but money moves faster in the 6-digit mark. So it's a fundamental buildup, and you don't try to take corners. You don't try to cheat with the memes. You just stay on track and you have a course of action. That's all I do. I just keep a course of action. And then I know things that are so cheap that I don't care if I'm buying them until they go to zero, which one is Algo at this point. Another one is DGB at this point, even ZIL where it's at this point. But there's a few other ones like VeChain and VThor, like I'm on the VThor, the VThor, and it's because they're coming to lowest of lows in this cycle now, since the breakup now, like the amount that these have caved in and the fact that this was coming through the descending wedge, I finally said, oh shit, now it's going to force me to buy it. Or the Zebec. And I have 3 million Zebec now. I'm part of the Zebec. I like Zebec. I do. I like the Zebec. I think it's got a lot of potential. It's trying to bridge the basic, let's just say the old world of fiat, and it's trying to bridge it into the digital world. Not just business, but also like way of paying your payroll and stuff like that. They're creating the bridge. So I'd say that they're an RWA. They're allowing real world assets to start to flow through now. Start to flow through one sector to the next. It's so crazy when you actually read about it. But if there's a reason why I feel so strongly about it. But hey, I'm just some idiot on YouTube. But this is one that at 000, what was it at when we started, where we bought it down here? And it was almost at the low. Well, we put it where it was going to round. And we also said maybe it could bounce down, remember? We said maybe, and then I took that off because I didn't want to scare people. I didn't take the price off. I just took the down arrow and just kept it because I think it's going to swing up. And I was thinking that this was going to end up breaking out to like that 0014. And then if it was going to break down, it could, because it very well, you could say it's on like a bearish pennant maybe. But it's hard because it's dropped so far that you can't really tell if it's a bearish pennant or if this is just a bottoming out phase and now it's going to actually break through. But in any event, I thought as long as we got over that pivot point at 000957, which it seems like we are, that we should have a volatile swing back to the top side. And it looks like that's what's happening here. And we just happened to get on board at the exact right time. First area was right here. Remember early February when it came down to tap support? That's when I started talking about this. And I bought in at like 0079 something. Came around and then I bought more. And I talked about it every time I came down here. And now I have 3 million right around 0079 area. Like literally. It's not anywhere from basically where it's at. Well, it's gone up a little bit now. But I kept saying for days it's in the exact same spot. I just keep buying more. So from when it came down here, we've already bounced like 25%. So I know there's a lot of you in the audience that are probably up 20% on Zebec right now. That's awesome. Being completely honest, crypto isn't for me. I don't have the patience. All I hope is I can 2x H-bar, algo, and XRP and get out alive. Well, James, I'm not saying crypto isn't for you, but I will say the only reason it feels like it's not for you is because you obviously found this community at the wrong time. Because if you would have found us, XRP, we're up like, what, 9x right now from the bear market? 8x? Maybe it's 8x right now. Or 7? Could be 7. Yeah, 7 sounds better. And like H-bar, we're already up like 6, 7x right now on that as well. So the only reason you're feeling like that is you're not timing the cycles right, but that's okay. That shouldn't be a reason to leave. Listen, if I can give you one piece of advice, it's to take a step back. You already own H-bar, algo, and XRP. Just take a step back for a few days and start watching the analysis. Man and his dog, thank you so much for the being in Tom's army and renewing again for 6 months. He said, where did you buy Zebec? I bought that on crypto.com. So in the video description below and our pinned comments, actually, I don't think it's in the comments or the description right now. I forgot to put it in. But if you go to my homepage, you can see I have a link here for crypto.com. Whoops. What is going on here? Now it won't let me click on that. Oh, I hit the wrong one. Right there. And I bought that on crypto.com. I don't know how attainable it is everywhere else, but I was able to do it there. But like I said, don't use market orders on crypto.com. You're going to end up paying like 2% more. Put it in limit orders and let it come down to your price. It's as simple as I can do it. They even updated the system with that. But I use that exchange because they have the crypto.com Visa card. Let me see. I don't know if they had it on BITUNIX. I can't remember. Let me check. Zebec. I don't think they did. No, definitely not. So I was just happy they had it on there. But anyhow, Zebec, you can see this bull flag, and I think we're going to be pretty happy here. I do. I think we're going to be pretty happy. Yeah, that's what I said. I don't think you're going to be able to copy the address. I think you're going to have to... Wait a minute. What if I put it on... I wonder if I put it on my X account. I think maybe if I put it on my X account, you'd be able to copy it. Hold on. Actually, I got a better idea. Well, you have your phone by you, by chance? Well, obviously, you have something like to where you could like take a picture. Because I could, theoretically, I could show you my QR code. You know, I could show you the QR and you could just scan it. You know, just scan that. You tell me yes or no if you have something, and then I'll put it back up there. And then you could just scan it if you're insistent. Oh, you do? Okay, here. I'll put this right here for a second. You should be able to scan it. You're definitely going to be able to scan it. So, and for anybody who's like, you know, you're going to lose your account. These are depositing wallets. These aren't your wallet that you actually, you guys who trade crypto know. You guys know. So yeah, there you go. I'll do it one last time. I'll keep it there for 1 second. You should be able to hit it there. It should get it. So if that doesn't work, we can figure something out later, but it's not a big deal, my friend, honestly. I mean, I do appreciate it. But I need to go back to the XRP chart. But Zebec real quick. I just wanted to show if this does break out and this is a little flag. This is the little resistance area. This would get us up to about that 0011 area. So if this plays out properly, we could be looking at, just in the short term, another about 13, 14%. That'd make it very nice. James said, I did find you late and I love you and everyone in your community. I dollar cost average in XRP at $2.30, 860. Algo at 38, 7,500. Algo, you're not bad in Algo. I know because it's under 30 cents, or at least it's on the. We'll go over Algo. We'll definitely go over Algo, and then H bar at 30 cents, 2K down at the moment. Okay, I see what's going on. I appreciate the $5 donation, my friend. I do. I understand where your mindset's at right now because you were one of the ones who you started to understand a little late, and then where you ended up inserting yourself. Now you're looking at it and you're like, uh-oh. Algo's at like 29 cents, 28.7, and you're at about 38. The 38, and then H bar you're at 30, and it's at 22.8. See, this is where it's tough. This is, unfortunately, I mean, it's not your fault, but this is a scenario we were talking about in our audience for a long time, that this is where it gets tough. Because now all of a sudden you're not privy to buying it in the bear market, but you see so much about how crypto is this, and you hear the president talking about that, and you see how we're going to have these crypto reserves here and crypto reserves there, and it's like, if I don't get in now, is it going to be too late? And I can understand what's happening right now. And now you're sitting here saying, well, this is some hot. Now I'm down $2,000 and I just got into this trash. And I didn't. So basically right now for H bar, it is in for you, and not just for you, for us as well, because that could be a big topping reversal. And the unfortunate part here is if this does not break up and this does in fact give away, it's a big problem. Because if this doesn't hold here and actually break out, like we're getting to the end of the end, the good thing is this looks like it should be an exhaustion phase, but with the rounding of the top here where you could clearly see like a Batman boom and boom, Batman top, you got to get out of this. And the farther down we go, it's almost like we took the elevator up, we're taking the stairs down. And if that's the case, there's going to be a lot of pissed off people in crypto. And for you personally, I don't know where your finances are, but the only advice I could give you on all of this is Algo is super cheap right now. And I know H bar is not at 4 cents where we bought it. Well, not you, but like where our community bought it. But in the grand scheme, it still looks super cheap. There's a lot of governments that are coming on board and buying Algo. And it seems to have a much deeper utility than most of the other cryptos, even the ones on our board have. So I don't think you're in a lot of trouble. I just think it's short-term pain. Like, I think if you do your due diligence and you have a few dollars that you can even throw at it, let's say we have a 20% drop, just so that you can continue to build in a little bit, because we could be working on a little bit of a drop here. That's the problem. We've gotten a lot of rejections here today. I don't even know. Did I even do the intro yet, honestly? Matthew says, thanks for keeping me positive. I appreciate what you do. Ooh, I need to read the rest of that. I really like the way today's live's going, because we've had some that unfortunately didn't buy at the exact times we did on some of us in the community, but it's also a good way to show, like, hey, if we're being honest with ourselves, like, I didn't like the way this was set up when we first started this live, and unfortunately it's starting to play out with what I was seeing, and unfortunately when you're hitting all those rejection points. But I said, Matthew says, thanks for keeping me positive. I appreciate what you do for your family and the crypto market. Hey, I appreciate that. And thank you for the $20 donation, your third YouTube super chat. Much appreciation. And speaking of the family, my son, some of you, well, most of you know, he's developmentally delayed, and he's like on the spectrum autism, and he got into a bad accident when he was younger, and he's got a feeding tube in his stomach, and we've been trying to do the potty training with him, but it's hard because having the feeding tube, it makes it hard for the senses. So like some people never get out of it, and they end up wearing the pens and things like that. But today at school, for the first time, he used the potty. So he used the potty today, and of course it would be at school. But to think he used it at school is pretty crazy. So that's a big accomplishment for little Tommy today. So I was very happy about that. And it's a blessing, actually. So I still don't even know what to think about it because it caught me off guard that he actually used it. So, and he's 5 right now, so he's definitely, he wants to, but it's hard because he's getting fed a lot of his, well, 3 meals a day through a tube. So unless you have a tube in your stomach, I guess you can't. I don't even know what he's feeling. But, and he's nonverbal, so it's an interesting dynamic. But he definitely was proud of himself today. He was definitely proud of himself today. And then after school, we had food therapy, and he was strutting his stuff today. So he definitely knew he did something good. So hopefully that's the beginning for him to, start to take that next step in that regard. So, yeah, so I'm happy for him. So, anyhow, we'll use that as the positive tone, and I'll do the intro. Good evening. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. I think you must watch the documentary of Spellers. Ooh, I have not. I have not. Struggling at school and teacher can't understand him. Yes, I completely can understand what you're going through, Nanny. And right now, my son in his school right now, he's in the special needs program, but he's been doing the inclusion, and they want to put him into it's like a regular class next year. But I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna go. But he's been doing good in inclusion, so we'll see. He's like basically met and achieved and surpassed the goals they had for him. So it's I don't know. I guess you could say it's a little bit of a scary journey, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Jessica, and everybody else who said that for Tommy. I appreciate that. If there's one good thing to look at, Canto usually will run opposite of the market when it still has a continuation leg. And right now, Canto came down to support. And call me crazy, but I think it's starting to do a reversal, maybe bottomed here again. I think Canto's out ahead of the market again. Like it dumped down back to the uptrend. I think Canto is telling us, like, get ready. We're starting to reverse again. And one of these times, Canto's going to run. It's going to run. Like right now, it's up 7% or something from where it was at. One of these times, it's going to run right back up to the top here, 2.8%. We're going to look and be like, holy crap, it's up 70%. We had a couple of fake outs out of the short-term part of the pattern, but Canto seems to run when everything else is kind of teetering, and it'll show us the reversal before it happens in a lot of the market. Another one that's showing strength against the market is MXC. That's the IoT token that we talked about. It's got 2.66 billion total tokens for their max circulation, and right now the current circulation is 2.44 billion. And it's an IoT token, and it's dirt cheap. It's at the bottom of its cycle, for its all-time cycle. And it caught my attention when it came outside of this because there's not much room for it to fall out of this. So I said, holy shit. Excuse my French. I got to take advantage of this while it's in the lowest of lows. Like, it was literally on this inverse head part of this. And I've been talking about this for a few days. Well, actually, it was down here, not the inverse head. What am I talking about? On the shoulder. Because it came down here, came back up. I started looking at it. I built out this pattern. And when it came underneath, I said, what the hell is going on? Why is it coming down so far again? I thought, I'm going to take my shot here. I take my shot. And if I'm being honest, I have 1 million tokens right now. So, I kind of leaped in. But being an IoT token and being so friggin' cheap and having so little token supply, like, it's almost like, what is going on here? Like, that could be a diamond in the rough. Especially in the Internet of Things. You got to remember that's the smart contract, smart houses. That'll help tie in the digital IDs, which is also why Matic Poly is important. God, there's so much stuff. I know it is crypto cooter. That cooter, that's what I'm saying. If it goes anywhere else, it'll be at all zeros. It's basically as low as it can possibly get. Well, without getting as low. But look where it's been. If you guys want to talk about some unbelievable potential, this is literally one of them you can look at. And it's down 97.4%. Which means, and nobody says it's going to go all the way. Whoops. Here. Even from 004. You know, that's from 004. There's a lot of potential back to the top. But I'm not looking at back to the top. I just look at it in cycles, and I look at certain kind of tokens. So, and that's Moonchain if you're wondering. But that's just where we're at. That's where we're at with that. I'm looking for these IoT tokens that can give us a little bit of credibility here. And the ones that are, you know, haven't had these big pushes up into the 1, 2, 5. Because think about it. IOTA and like V chain and things like this, they were just down there not too long ago, you know, a couple years ago, and now you've got this next group that we can start to target. And because we know about the Internet of Things, you know, there's going to be cycles, and some of them are not pushed into their own cycles yet. Like that one's underperforming the market and has actually made a new bear market low for its own token. That one hasn't reached the bull market yet. So that's incredulous, if you ask me, because that means that could be one that runs ulterior to the market when it starts to run on the Internet of Things tokens, and I'm all for it. UK Phil, welcome in, my friend. Love seeing you in here, and thanks for being in Tom's Army. I really appreciate it. Like, I love seeing some of you guys and gals that have been here for so long. We've built a lot of stuff here. I want to read that one comment too about the first bull run. Shaky Lake says, "This is my first bull run, and I'm having a great time where we're at in the market. But I'm also super excited about the big downtrend in the bear market period." Yes, listen. For anybody, if you've learned anything now, this next bear market, I can't wait. Like literally, I can't wait, because at least in this bull market, it's paid. My windows are being put in tomorrow, and then my kitchen's being redone next month, and it literally paid for that. And I still have all this stuff that I own. You know, and that's the beauty of bear to bull. If you do it right in the bear, you can sell off some in the bull and still have everything you ever wanted and then some. Me neither, Tanya. I'm never going away either, love. I will be here until we can no longer be here. Ooh, somebody keeps asking about ICP, and I forgot to bring it up. I have a chart for ICP, and I accidentally deleted it, I think, because it used to be the third one on this page. We did it together in here. We were doing the ICP chart. I hope it was the Binance one. Yes. We did one. So if ICP, the only problem we had with it is where it's at in the chart, because we're kind of in the middle of it. So we kind of like to buy support when it's on support. But right now it's an interesting spot. Okay. But it's in an interesting spot in this pattern. I would like to see it, personally, I would have liked to have seen it come down to $3.86 again if I was going to entertain trying to buy it just because of where it's at. But then if you break it down, it looks like we could possibly be building, I don't know, almost looks like a top here, and then it's just going to shoot down. This looks like a bear flag. So I'm just saying, I think we're going to get it possible. See, this is why it makes me think the market's just going to go. Some of these are just, is it really going to come down 40-something%? I don't know. Makes me feel uneasy in the market at the same time, because we're getting rejected at a lot of these main areas. I know we have a wave 5, and I have to continue to tell myself, but I've seen a lot of things I've seen in past cycles where it was just the end of the cycle. Especially, it was the whole meme token thing, especially with the Trump token. I've seen this before, where it literally gut punches the market. But I think this is all facade this time, personally. I think eventually we're going to get to where we need to go. Actually, we should probably do it like this. Not even hold any punches and just do it. But I think this is different. I still think you got to play the contrarian look. We need everybody to shut up about the market. We need them to all start fearing the market, which Syrian, the crypto fear and greed index right now, I believe was at 46 earlier. 47. Let's see. Okay, 47. Hasn't moved much. So it's in fear. Oh, wait a minute. That's neutral. 46 is fear. Of course. But we're basically in no man's land, if you're asking me. We're kind of in no man's land. Oh, ICP, if it went back to all-time highs, can you talk about making millionaires in itself? It's got a long ways to go. Imagine when we find out David Schwartz is Satoshi Nakamoto. It's going to be like when you find out Santa was your dad. You kind of knew. How about this? I got a better one for you. David Schwartz. Nah, forget that. What if you just find out that the U.S. government actually created Bitcoin and they're the front of XRP? What would be better? I think that's what's probably going to happen. I think that the U.S. government is XRP and Bitcoin. They were Bitcoin 1.0, and now XRP is the next front for them. That's why they got to delay it in the House, and that's why they did what they did. I think that's what's going on, which would be true though, because then David Schwartz, you could say, hey, maybe he was the brainchild of both, because what is the connection to Bitcoin and XRP right now? One could argue it's David Schwartz. And that's why I like what Nanny said, because it actually ties in what you're saying. I really does, and that's what I think is going on. But what can I say? I just throw it out there in riddles sometimes, and we'll see what happens. I want to read this. But before I read this, I want to just make sure that everybody understands. There's so much liquidation right now above us. And I want to go to XRP in the monthly real quick, just so everybody doesn't lose their gall. And you know what else people are losing their mind about? XLM, and they see how many people only hold XLM. Well, sometimes I'll tell you, look at the interest of the people who hold it. Sure, 80% of XLM is held by, 2,000 wallets? Isn't that something like that? But I mean, generally, when you have a untapped target or an untapped asset, it's usually only going to be the biggest of investors that are holding your asset anyhow. Just like in the gold and silver bullion market. It's usually only the countries, not the actual people within the country, that are going to buy the actual bullion, especially gold. Just like with crypto, with XLM. Right now, the retail couldn't give a rat's ass about XLM for the most part. I've been talking about it for almost 5 years or 4 years, and very little of my audience even cares to buy it. I love it. But a lot of my audience couldn't give a rat's ass about it, which is not just my audience, it's the general public. So, but anyhow, if you guys think that we're not going up again, just remember, we've made a living at this, especially in the bear and bull markets, looking at these kind of things with the liquidation heat maps and seeing exactly where the money's flowing. Well, I find it very hard to believe that they're going to leave all this liquidation from the short traders and just get them rich. So at $3.23, there's $532 billion from short traders to be liquidated. If you don't know what that is, that means if you're leverage trading and you go short, this isn't being stopped out with a stop loss. This means if you have $1,000 in, it's all gone. If you have $1 million, it's all gone. But it amounts to retail at $532 billion at $3.23. There is no way that they're not going to come up here and take this liquidity. Even if they drop the market after, they got to come up here and take. Look at there's trillions of dollars here. There's like $6 to $10 trillion in this area. It's insane. $3.43, it's up to $579 billion. It's insanity. It's huge. So I think that I think we're going to come back up there. I think we're going to take out all of that liquidity. And then if the market does decide to top out there, so be it. But I think that's what's setting up here. If I have to be honest with myself, or with myself and my audience, this is what I'm waiting to happen, to come take that liquidity and see what happens. I could make the argument that they could come take this liquidity around $2.20 as well. There is some, I think, down to about $2.13. You get $100 billion in some of these segments, almost 200. But just above us at 257 is another 439 billion. You got tons of liquidity above us. So that's all I'm trying to show, like the areas this could happen. Shane says it's definitely taking out this liquidity. Shane, I love that you've been in here having all these lives too. A lot of you, because a lot of you now I see your names, and we've been building something within the chat together too. So when I say something, certain people, when you comment, it's like, all right, it's giving me reassurance too, because I know, like with Shane, I know he's on the ball with this stuff because he's been putting it in the comments the last, I feel like several weeks now, about just this part of the pattern flow now. So like when other people are starting to see what you're seeing, it actually gives you a lot of, I almost think it gives you salvation for what you're doing, because it allows you to see between the lines, so to say. So But I absolutely think it's impossible to not go after that liquidity. And then some will say, well, Tom, okay, that's all fine and dandy with XRP, but after all, Bitcoin runs the show. Well, it does. James says, I wish I would have found your community earlier, Tom. I just hope I didn't FOMO into too bad and can still turn a profit here for the long haul, but would love to take profit than dollar cost average in the bear market. I completely understand that. And with where I see the liquidity with everything, I think you should be okay. It's just the only thing that concerns me is, does Bitcoin come down to that 74K first, 74.9K roughly, and take this liquidity out? I don't. You guys are fine. If I was to guess, I would say it would want to take this out. But you can make the argument that there's a lot of liquidity on both sides here. It's not as big as XRP, but there is a lot of liquidity on Bitcoin in both areas. And then if you go up into the targeted zone, where it should finish out this target, I mean, you've got a lot of liquidity up there for Bitcoin. So, but you're kind of squeezed here because there is some below. Tom, please explain liquidity a little bit more. So, with these liquidity maps, the heat liquidation maps, so it's either you're short or long trading the market. So if you're taking out a short or long against the market, this is something not 1x. So this isn't like spot traders. This is 2x and higher. So if you're a leverage trader, you take out, let's just say you take out a 10x trade. Well, that means that a cluster of people, if they're going long, if it goes to 79,300 on Bitcoin, 23.9 million, just at 79,308 would get liquidated. Conversely, for the short traders, let's say it comes up to 108,912, 26,870,000 gets liquidated. It's the combination. It's the combination of all the traders that are in the trades end up getting liquidated. Well, spot is king, and that's why I always say it, because this is where everybody gets hammered. So then when you look at XRP, like, I really don't care about Bitcoin as much, because I know XRP where it's at, there's not as much liquidity underneath. With the bottom line is XRP already came down all the way into that $1.77 area. And look at all the way down here. Look how little liquidation. I know it's $13.7 billion, but is $13.7 billion a lot to make new lows? Or if you were coming for liquidation, would you want 532 billion or 13 billion? So the point is, would you want to make all those people that could get liquidated rich on the way down? Or would you want to make all those people that could get liquidated on the bottom, those little puny amount of people, which amounts to about 1 out of every, it's not very much. Would you rather, so it's the way I look at it is the market, who gets rich and who gets broke. And right now the market's saying, if you're patient, we got to take out all those liquidations above. Now, it's going to be a tricky ride, but that's what it's telling us. So if all those people up there are going short, probably should go long here. If all these people think it's the right idea to go short, it means we're about to go long at some point. We don't know when it's going to happen. It could trickle all the way back down to the $1.77 level first. But it's certainly showing us something pretty incredible here, with possibility. So I'm honestly very intrigued by this, especially where the liquidation sets up. Somebody wanted XLM as well, and we'll go to the XLM chart. I don't know if it's on here, though, to be honest. I think it is. Bye, Scar. Bye, Michaela. Duh. Scarlett already left. So XLM, whoops, has a huge liquidation area. Oh, man, I should have shown this one before, too. This one's pretty incredible. I forgot how much it had. It's almost like XRP. Whoops. How did that happen? Sorry, I was saying bye to the 17-year-old. All right. So the monthly, look at oh my God. XLM's got a ton of liquidation above. See, I think XLM's setting up for something big as well to the above side in time. You guys see all that liquidation above? There is no way they're not going to come get that, even if it's bearish. They have to. You don't often see, that's a lot of liquidation. I don't know if I've ever seen, I don't think there's ever been that much on XLM. That's a ton. 1.7 billion at 51.6 cents on XLM. Holy that's a lot. Wow. How does Bitcoin dominance compare in conjunction to altcoin season? Bitcoin can't dominate 61% of all money for us to have an alt season. So when you're looking at Bitcoin for alt season to start, we need this to be a rejection where I shared. This has to be a rejection, and then we have to fade down. So what we're looking for is this is almost like a rising channel at the end of this, and maybe this is the end. Because if it were to break out, there's this chance that it would command like 96% of money. And we've been there before. The altcoins didn't like it. But if it were to fall outside of this, but this does take us out until all the way around 2032. If you guys ever remember when I say 28 to 32, that's because that's when the Bitcoin dominance officially ends. And it's supposed to break down based on what it's in a bearish pennant. But we'll see, because if it breaks outside of this, there is one example where it does shoot up here to that 72.4% and then get slammed back down. But there's an argument to be made that it could break out of here too. So with the Bitcoin dominance, it's got to get a rejection here. And then it would end up pushing money into altcoins. So it has a huge impact. The problem is we have a golden cross here where it's actually back tested. So it looks like we're going to have a big event here where money pours into Bitcoin. It almost looks like. And it's going to overzealously push it up, I think, to like 74% if this happens. So I wish they would ban pump fun and meme coins. This making all. Oh, absolutely. I do too. But like I said, when Trump first got inaugurated and then he was being sworn in, when they did the Trump token, I believe this is a way to further regulate crypto. But it's going to happen probably after his term, and they're going to say, see, they're going to use the hatred of Trump, and they're going to say, see, we didn't have any regulations on the book, and even Trump, an incumbent president, was able to whitewash the market and have an $80 billion market cap when they controlled 80-something% of the supply, and then seen retail get whitewashed. I think that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. Not that I hate Trump. I just think he bent us over, unfortunately, in this regard. Now, if you don't trade crypto, you couldn't care less about it. But I called it right when it was happening, before that pump in the Trump token even happened. I said, this is bullshit. I said, this is going to kill us. And it's going to, I said that it prematurely halted the utility token run. And then everybody got mad at me. But I said what needed to be said, and I'm ashamed of saying it. So you have that, right, with the altcoins. You have that, and then you have to look at one key fundamental thing if you're an XRP fan. You look at the XRP Bitcoin pairing and see, is there any semblance that we could be breaking out of the trend of a bearish trend, and that now XRP could be putting itself into a bull market in comparison to Bitcoin? You can only know that if you look at the XRP Bitcoin pairing, and right now it looks good. We have a golden cross, the 20 through the 200, and that's big. The 50s also come through the 100. To confirm this, a lot of people like to see the 50 come through the 200 as well. And that would be the confirmation. So, you know, that's something we look at. But this golden cross is telling us in the weekly, not the monthly, or not the 4 hourly or the daily or the 1 hourly or the 30-minute. This is in the weekly time frame, and it back tested. This is basically out ahead of a lot of the market, how we had like these little descending wedges, because I could turn this into a wedge very easily, and that's how it should be. I just had it the other way so you guys could see when it was still on the consolidation. But that's what it was. It was like leading the way with these descending wedges. And this is what, like when we say XRP is breaking out of a descending wedge, this is what you'll eventually start seeing. It'll have this pull-up moment. See how we even had the big backdrop? So when we had the back test the golden cross, see how we even had that big backdrop? It was about a 40% drop. Now it's basically eaten up about half of it, more than that, about 25% of it. But now it's about to make its way if this is meant to be. And then you're talking about 0.0005110, and then further. I believe this is probably building a cup here, and it'll end up being used as an inverse head and shoulder. Oh, it's going to be beautiful with this new cup. Tom, you never did your intro? I think I did. I think I actually did it very quickly. But just for you, good evening. 6:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire with the side bet on XLM and Future Digibite OG. And I reside in the great state of Michigan. So there, I didn't do the intro like that last time. And since we did the intro like that, now we can get into XLM. And before I leave DGB, but Julie is gone. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to have to leave because my son's here with me and it's just me and my son. Julie's gone. She has orientation for the 11-year-old at for middle school because she's going into middle school next year, which I didn't want to talk about this while they were here. But Scarlett, the 11-year-old, we had an incident at school on Friday, and I'm not so happy, but I am not dad. I'm just the come along, the stepdad. So I haven't got to do anything about this. We'll see what her dad does, but this boy in the last recess on Friday punched her in the face twice. So I am not all too happy. And yeah. So I'm letting the process play out. They're investigating it with the police and they got videotape and all this other crap. But this kid's already had a bunch of trouble. And the topping thing is his dad's like the chief in one of the fire departments over here. And his mom works in the school districts. So this is some bullshit if you ask me. He should be expelled on the spot. And he's already had trouble with punching a girl. I'm telling you right now, if nothing gets done, I may have to go up to that firehouse and I may have to rip this guy's balls over his ears so he gets the understanding. Like, that's the truth. Like, not me. When I was growing up, my mom, I had to watch her get beaten up and I had to do something about it for my stepdad and I had to watch different things. I don't play that game. So, that's, yeah. Oh, yeah, she's going into self-defense. No joke. She is starting self-defense. Syrian, I'm not even joking. She's already been signed up for self-defense now. We're not, no more. She's going to know what to do with herself now. So next time she's going to be able to rip the boy's balls right out and shove them down his throat. So it sucks. Sucks. From Long Island, kick his ass. Yep. So yeah, it already has been brought to the parents now. It just, I don't feel any comfort knowing that the dad works for he's the chief of one of the fire departments around here. And then the mom actually works within the school districts. It's not our district, but it's in Oakland County. So it is, oh buddy. So anyhow, I'll let that deal with how it's going to play out. But if something ain't right, I'm going to have to do something. But we'll see what they do. All my children gives them confidence. Yes, it definitely does. I think it will give her confidence. I really do. It's not a good thing, It's one thing if a boy's punching a boy, but unfortunately we don't have boundaries in this country because everybody thinks everybody's equal, which we're not. Sorry, but boys and girls aren't equal. Boys do the heavy lifting for a reason. Girls are more loving in nature for a reason. There's a reason for all this. It's not just... It's the actual psychology of just the way it is. But I don't want to stroll off there. I want to finish what we were talking about. But yeah, I forgot about that. I was going to bring that up, but I didn't want to do it when they were in here. So unbelievable. And she's the nicest kid. Like, she's not violent. Like, she's not a violent person. I mean, she could get and rub people the wrong way at times. I can tell you that. But she's definitely not a violent person. But anyhow, if this does come back down for XLM, you could look, and I put this here because this is kind of like the pivot area that you really want to hold. What is this? In all my 41 years, I've never put my hands on a woman. Like, I don't understand where people get off thinking that. I had a woman stab me with a pen. When you date the black culture, things can get a little violent, but I never put my hands on her. I mean, if you date within the black community and you're white, I think you can understand what I'm talking about. It can get a little bit interesting, especially when at the end of the relationship, when they try to run you over with the car. But you know, that's another story for another day. But uh, fun times. What I wouldn't give to go back to my early 20s, the mid. No, actually, I wouldn't give anything to go back. I like where I'm at. Anyhow, um, this is that's why when people call me racist, I'm like, if you only knew my past, if you only knew my past. It's an interesting one. But on DGB again, these descending wedges, I think, even in the smaller time frame, James don't threaten me with a good time exactly. I hit a man once, he cheated. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, cat. I would hit the prick too. If I would do the same. And I don't play that game though. When I'm with somebody, I'm with somebody. I don't like to go running around with 500 people. Like I don't know. I think that's weird. I actually like the building with the person, and then you get to know their ins and outs, and you get to know what they like, and then it gets interesting, you know? Of course, you have to be an attentive person. But anyhow, this descending wedge, I think this is another one. I do. I think this is another one within XLM, just in the short-term consolidation. And we're breaking out of a bigger descending wedges, it looks like. So patterns often imitate what they're doing. Rock and XRP Painter, welcome in, my friend. It's been a long time, but you've been in here for a long time. Doesn't matter if there's time in between. You've been here for a while. Folks will use anything as weapons if it's in their... Absolutely. Thank you, Kat. I think it's a dying breed, but I like being I like building something. Told you I like building. I like building. I feel like you break the foundation when you start to do some unseemly things. Sure, you can get some simple pleasure, but once you realize life's more than the simple pleasure, oh my God, it's so much more pleasurable to live. I know it's kind of a pun there, but it's so true. Once you realize it's not all about the pleasure, you're going to actually have some amazing pleasure. Speaking from experience. Both sides of town. Anyhow, I want to see this breakout, actually. I would like to see this hold. And then we can push ourselves out of here. We could push ourselves out, and we could find ourselves up at about 35.7 cents. Could be considered a W. I think this would be more considered an inverse head and shoulders, possibly. I know this came all the way down, so I suppose you could say that would be a big W, honestly. But man, that is such a beautiful pattern that's building. It's insanity. Like, it still needs to come up. Look at this. If you look at this in the bigger time frames, absolutely a big W. Just harder to see in the small time frames. But this still is targeting like 88 cents on this next tug. And then ultimately up to like $1.17. I would be stunned if this broke down. Oh man, I would be stunned if these don't, at least in time. Like DGB's got such an amazing move in it. Like this is just out in the future. Danny said, I never knew I could not park my car until I met my wife because now I get asked all the time why I park where I... yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And before I leave, because I do have to go because my son is going to need me and there's nobody else here but me. We've got this. With DGB, it does. History doesn't always repeat, but it rhymes. I always say this. It doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Tom went black and ran back. And I probably would have never went back if it wasn't for Julie, if I'm being honest. I'm just being honest. But I always say Julie's got the... Well, I can't say it. I was... Although in the black community, because I drove a Charger and I look like I do, people thought I was a cop. So out of pure luck, I wouldn't get messed with that much. Sometimes I'd have to, take care of business. White guy can't defend himself until he can. And then, you know how that goes. But anyhow, I think DGB is doing the same thing, just repeating itself in different fashion. Like it's big. It's a small little hook. Get a little bit bigger. Allie G also had a girl named Julie. I see. Boom. 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 So I think this is working on this right now. And in time, I think we're going to talk one day and we're going to be like, I can't believe DGB, we were buying it at 4/10 of a cent, 8/10 of a cent. Now it's sitting up here at 30 cents. I know in 21, when I bought it at 5 cents and sold it just about 15, right around 16, I planned on buying it under 1 cent. And I remember this very audience, none of you were probably there. Some of you were. But when I proclaimed that I was going to buy it under 1 cent, most people were like, are you out of your mind? You really think it's going to go down that much? I'm like, I don't think it is. I know it is. I knows it is. And now it did. And now I'm living the dream. Because even if it goes down, I'm going to buy more. I have 1.3 million DGB and I couldn't be happier. So I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm going to go take care of my son. Got to be dad. We're having fun, but I got to be dad. You know, being a parent, sometimes it cuts into the fun, but there's no funner feeling than being a parent. I mean, if you're doing what you want, at least. BITUNIX, I would highly encourage that. Lowest spot and lever trading fees, lowest maker taker. And you don't have to do a VPN or KYC. All the rest is what I use. Have a blessed day. I really appreciate all of you spending time with me. I look forward to you coming back tomorrow around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll do my update in the morning before my son goes to school. Tomorrow's going to be a weird day because I'm getting the windows put in. But I still plan on having content throughout the day. And don't forget to give thanks to your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Remain humble. Show humility. And try to help everybody, you know. And if you made it until the end, hashtag be better, do better in the comments if you made it till the end. And remember, help one person each and every day. Because if I don't do my part and you don't do your part, it's really tough. It's tough to do it alone. So you need the people with the wisdom you don't have and also the ones that don't have the wisdom that you do have. And you can start teaching each other on what to do and what not to do and what works and what doesn't. I found that to be my greatest asset now. The community, the ones who don't know, that are relying on me for something that they do need to know, but at least have the faith and trust that I'm going to do it right and give them facts. We didn't get to the one thing of reading I wanted to, but whatever, not very important. But other than that, hashtag FUD Assassin.